friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots. Well, I imagine there's going to be some of your brothers and sisters from the department listening to this. You got any messages for them?
I know y'all are going to send it to me. I get pictures and texts and all kinds of stuff every time that I'm on the news or anything like that. And yeah, go ahead, make fun. I'm just what you got? What you got? I can't get you back today, but I'll get you back.
All right. Yeah. He gave you permission, so now you got no. They've all got your cell phone number.
It doesn't matter if I give them permission or not; they're going to do it. So if I go into it like that, it kind of takes some of the heat off.
We have more information about upcoming events and all of our sponsors' information at the end of the show. This episode is sponsored by Pouring Glory, located at 1001 Bryan Avenue in Fort Worth, Texas. Pouring Glory is a growler filling station that serves craft beer and food with live music. They've been awarded multiple times for their amazing food. And they have a huge outdoor area for your fur baby, and you can enjoy Dog Park Sunday every weekend from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Episode 138 is something that we've been looking forward to for a very long time. We finally got someone from the Fort Worth Fire Department to sit down with us and just kind of get to know each other. So a quick shout out to all of our first responders at the Fort Worth Fire Department. No matter which firehouse you're at, thank you so much for what you do. And we really hope that you guys at the fire department enjoy this episode as we get to know one of your public information officers here at the Fort Worth Roots podcast. That is enough talking out of me. Thank y'all for being here, and please give it up for our new friend, Craig Trojacek. Let's start the show. All right, so I'm going to play this for you, and you tell me if you can identify who's talking in this message.
Okay.
Let's see if I got this queued up right.
All right now. Good morning. But you be nice to my Craig, okay? Y'all be good. Don't go telling stories on me. Not any of the really bad ones anyway.
That's Teresa.
And have a good interview.
I told her, I said, okay, I'm going to play that. And she's like, okay, but you just, mind your manners, what you say.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I listen to, like I said, man, I've never done one of these before. It's something I've always wanted to do just to kind of get my feet wet and to say I've done it and maybe I can learn how to.
Well, I'm excited we get to be your first.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of different ideas. And, but yeah, so I reached out to her this morning because I was coming in, and so I was listening to her podcast with her episode. Yeah. And it was funny that there were three things, and I called her and told her about that I was coming to see you today. But one of them was the polka. I know in her podcast she talked about the polka.
Yeah.
Because I saw in a lot of the stuff that you do, it's all in regards to local music and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like that.
yeah. We keep it all forward.
And so I've got 3 kids and a wife and a job that usually if I'm in a car when I would typically listen to the radio, I'm on the phone calling people back, trying to set up other stuff. And so I hardly ever have the radio playing anymore. And if I do, it's like a Pandora type thing.
And we're on Pandora, by the way.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yes. Anyway. So when you were talking about the local stuff, it's like, man, this is before I talked to her, listened to her episode. I was like, really the only thing that I get out to is polka music. With my last name, I live down in Ennis, and so I was like, man, he's probably going to laugh at me, but I'm going to talk about polka music if that comes up. And so when I was listening to her episode, she was talking about the polka music, and and I thought, man, that was funny how that kind of fit in.
Connecting fibers.
Yes.
Well, we'll get into some polka talk here in a little bit, but we got to introduce you to our listeners and say your last name for me so I don't butcher it.
Well, so the correct pronunciation is Trojacek.
Wow.
So, but when I say that out loud, people go, huh? And then I'll say it again. And
can I try?
Go ahead.
Trojacek.
Yeah, close enough. Closer than most. I can't even say it the same way twice.
Okay.
But, it's funny when I'm talking to the folks there around town, and I tell them, or I'm introducing myself at whatever event, and I tell them Trojacek because that's usually easier, or tragic. They call me all kinds of different words, as you can imagine, on the fire department. But they're like, you're not saying it right, the older folks. And so I'll say it right, and they're like, there you go. Why don't you say it like that? I said, because when I'm talking to everybody else, I've got to say it 3, and finally they don't care anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a joke.
When you said it just now, alarms went off in my head. Like, you can't say that. Don't even try.
Yeah.
Right?
You can say it. I've heard it before.
But that's why I have people like with, if it's Dave Smith or Mike Brown, it's, I don't need it. But every once in a while, I'm like, please say your name so I don't jack that up.
Well, and jacked up is another. When I came through the academy, one of the officers that was teaching us through there, he was actually over our physical conditioning aspect of it all. His name was Rocky Vasquez. He's passed away not too long ago, but he called me jacked up. So.
Well, at least you know who's walking up behind you if you heard that, right?
Sure, yeah. Exactly.
Well, I got to say thank you. This is something that I've wanted to do for years. I had a kind of a wish list when I started this podcast. I had to get Betsy Price on. We got that one on there, and I've been hitting up the fire department and the police department for just as long as I was sitting up Betsy Price's office. So thank you very much.
Oh, man, I'm pumped to be here. Like I said, thanks for having me today.
Now, and I understand the sensitive nature of it. And so today, folks, I've got a list that we're going to try to stick to. And we don't do this very often, but people in sensitive positions like this, they're going to get a chance to review the episode before we air this. And that's just to kind of make Craig here feel comfortable, make the department feel comfortable, and to make other departments that might want to come on later, make them comfortable as well.
Well, and just so you know, that was one of the big things for me to come on here because, without never have done it before, I was kind of worried about, okay, they're going to get me saying something that sometimes I'll get off on some stuff, and it's not necessarily the way that it needs. It's me and you talking.
The way it came out.
And sometimes, exactly. And so sometimes I forget, like I've got this uniform on and blah, blah, blah. And so you just being able to let me, kind of hear it and kind of have an approval to put it out. I mean, that was a big thing for me. Otherwise, I don't know, to be honest, if I would have agreed to come in here today as much as I would have wanted to.
And you are the public information officer, so you know the rules, and you're the guy to talk to for this.
Correct. Well, that's what they say.
But I understand, like, whenever I was in the military, they told us anytime we were going to be in a situation where we might be around media, you were allowed to tell them what you had for breakfast, and that was it.
Sure.
Like, do not engage the media.
And that's tough for me because I'm like I told you, I'm a talker. Yeah. And so I'll just get out there and just talking like we're buddies and best friends. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, man.
Have you gotten called in the office yet? Craig, we got to talk.
Well, I have not. I stay in that office is probably what I need to say. But I've just always been that way.
You jacked up.
But no, so what you got?
Okay, all right. So I just following the format here, we were going to do a general introduction, which we did. What is your position with the Fort Worth Fire Department?
Well, so my rank is engineer.
Okay.
So if I'm out in operations, I'm driving the trucks.
Okay.
But like I said, when I took this position, my official title is the public information officer.
Right.
And so I still have the ability to go back out there in operations and it's tough because when I took this spot, that's what I was doing for the last 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Was on the truck.
You were an engineer for 20 years.
Well, a firefighter. Okay. And I just made engineer probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Is that top tier?
No, that's just second from. I'm still.
What's the progression on the truck?
So you start off as a firefighter, and those are the 2 that are here in Fort Worth. We've got what we call minimum 4-man staffing.
Okay.
So there's going to be 4 personnel firefighters.
Anytime they approach a structure or something like that?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. So there's always going to be four firefighters on that truck, and when I say firefighters, various ranks, but you're going to have the 2 people that are on the back is. When I'm on the back, those are the workhorses.
Right.
Those were the guys that were doing all the work.
That's the new guy usually.
Yeah, so it's the rookies. And but you've got some career guys that are that way too, and they're very valuable to the department because at that position, in certain times, they may actually be listened to more so than even the officer that's on the seat.
That makes sense. They've got the seniority.
Yes, yeah. So it's kind of cool to have. So you firefighter, and then you've got engineer or driver, which I still like. Firefighter sounds way cooler than engineer. But they're the ones driving the truck, and then you've got an officer on every truck, and that officer position it may either be a lieutenant or a captain.
Okay.
So the lieutenant's kind of the boss of the truck, and then the captain, if he's there, in some of these different stations, you may have one or the other, depending on if it's a single company station which houses 1 truck, or a double company station that houses 2 or more. But so. The lieutenant's kind of in charge of that truck for the day, and then at some of these stations, if there's a captain, they're kind of in charge of the station as a whole.
Okay.
So some stations have captains every shift at a double company station. Some have maybe it's just one captain at a single company station. So I don't want to get confusing to it. But
now, is that kind of Fort Worth specific, or is that just how it works in just about every municipality?
That's pretty much every department. Some of these other departments may not have a lieutenant rank, or they might not have a driver rank or anything like that. But I mean, there's somebody's got to be the boss, right? And there's got to be somebody for that boss to tell what to do and what needs to get done.
Somebody's got to organize all the logistical portions of it.
So everybody's going to tell you, on the truck is going to tell you that theirs is the most important. But really, it all goes back to the people that are putting hands on the patients and they're dragging the hoses off. I mean, that's what it really kind of, when we got on the job, that was what we got on the job to do.
Well, and if you ask somebody and they tell you they got the most important position, they're not lying to you, because it doesn't sound like that team could work with any one person missing.
Yeah, and it's a team thing for sure. But when things aren't going on, everybody's running their mouth about how special they are.
So how long have you been in Fort Worth for the Fort Worth Fire Department?
So June will be 20 years.
Okay.
This coming up June.
And is that where you started your firefighting career?
Yes, sir. Okay. Before that, I was doing various jobs, but I was doing heat and air conditioning for a brief period of time. Yeah. And there was a gentleman that was taking the test to try to get back on the job.
So you've always enjoyed being hot and uncomfortable with your profession?
Well, and it's funny, man, because here in Texas, that heat, it sucks, right? and here I am, but no, it's been awesome. I mean, I get very passionate. I love this job.
Yeah. Seems exciting. And just in the few interactions I've had with the local fire department folks, everybody seems to really enjoy what they do.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the
large
few
family,
careers,
but it's a strong family.
It really is. But it's one of the few careers to where people really genuinely just love coming into work. Yeah. I mean, if you take a couple of days off, and you've got to, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, man, what am I missing up there? What they're going to get something good, and I'm going to be off. Right. The big fire. We always talk about the career fire that you only get, once in a lifetime. I don't want to take off because I don't want to miss that. I don't want to miss being able to say that I was there and all that kind of stuff.
We've had some incredible fires lately, and it seems like you might have had some career fires back to back over the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, and that's kind of the tough part. Now that I'm in this position, I'm not the one out there getting dirty and doing all the good stuff anymore. Right. But yeah, Fort Worth as a whole stays pretty busy. It depends on what day of the week you look at it, but we're either the 12th or 13th largest, city in the country. Mm-hmm. So we stay pretty busy fire-wise with all of the old historical stuff, the older homes. That keeps us busy. Usually code and stuff like that with all the new construction we have coming in. It was put there for a reason to prevent fires.
Right.
And so there's not, every year, sometimes it seems like it cycles, but we overall, we stay very busy.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And then this is the last icebreaker question I got for you. And we just rolled right into this right off the beginning. But the question is, where's your favorite place to catch live music? But I bet there's not a whole lot of polka places. So where is polka in Fort Worth?
Well, so polka, I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. Like I said, I still, to this day, I live in Ennis.
Okay.
2/3 of my life. I tell everybody, a third of our lives in the fire service is spent up at the station. And things like that. I'm still talking like I'm still there at the station, but I still live down in Ennis, born and raised down there, and there's Sokol Hall, KJT, KC Hall, SPJST Hall.
Are you listing off all polka places?
Well, these are all halls that usually, especially when I was growing up, they would house, and they'd be polka bands. People get married, they've got polka music. The bands would come in on the weekends, and everybody's dancing, and so that's how I grew up. So I would say yes, they are polka places.
What's wild about this is I've been in Texas my entire life. I've never been exposed to polka.
Well,
ever.
So I've got a treat for you coming up Memorial Day. Okay. Here coming in May is the National Polka Festival there in Ennis.
You heard it here first, folks.
And in the town of West, they have West Fest down there. I'm trying to think if theirs is. I've got family that would shoot me right now if they knew that I didn't know off the top of my head.
Well, if I remember to look it up, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, those are two big polka events here, pretty local.
So do you have a place around here that you like to catch live music?
Well, like I said, I don't spend a lot of time outside of work here, specific in Fort Worth. Don't shoot me. Like I said, I've got a family back home that I like to get to as often as possible. But yeah, I'm down for if there's polka music, no matter where it's at, I'm down and I'll be dancing around and having a blast.
Question 2 in our list, your professional journey. I wanted to talk about your career progression and kind of the training that's involved with that.
Okay.
So where did you get your start?
So, like I said, it was that gentleman that I was doing heat and air conditioning with. It was trying to get me to come on to the fire department, and I wasn't one of those people that had generations of family members that were in this fire service, and
right.
I was like, man, that's too cool for me. I'm not that guy. I'm just going out there and kind of doing my thing. I'll go with you, but there's no way, you know. And so we went up here and we tested together.
It's like a recruiting event, or
yeah. So usually every year, and we just had ours for 2023. It's not a specific date every year. It comes back down to budget and things like that. Right. But we just held our last test. It's a civil service exam on March 8th.
Okay.
So just a couple of weeks, about a month ago.
So if they missed March. Did you say March 8th?
Yeah, if they missed March 8th,
yeah,
they've got to wait until we decide that, through people's retirements or if we've got new stations or things that are being built around the city, then they'll come back and they'll establish the next one.
Probably not a high turnover rate.
It's not. Like I said, man, everybody loves their job.
Yeah.
So when people, we are here for a career. It is very few and far between that we actually have people leave from the fire department, and that's just not specific to Fort Worth. I mean, I tell everybody, especially when we're doing hiring and other places are hiring, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
There are some departments that are better or worse than others, but as a whole, man, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
So
how old were you whenever you walked in there for testing?
Well, so that first time, I didn't get on the first time, right? So
Does
I was
anybody?
right out of high school. Yeah, there's some people that do. I unfortunately was not one of them, but I got on a lot quicker than there's tales of some old guys that had left some other departments that they were there for 10 years and already had risen through the ranks, and they just wanted to come here to Fort Worth to be on the fire department. So that first time, I was right out of high school. And like I said, had the opportunity, and for me, it was good probably that I didn't make it that first time because I wouldn't appreciate the job the way that I do now. So there was about a 5-year gap. I was back in construction doing different things with the phone company, and came back and tested again. Working with the phone company, I started out outside. I'm kind of a hands-on guy. And then they shut my division down, and they put me at downtown office in a cubicle. And I was like,
this ain't going to work.
Yeah, I can't do this. The people are great, but this ain't me. And so I was telling everybody back then, still kind of naive to the fact of how difficult it is to get on to the fire department. I was like, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to be a Fort Worth fireman. I don't know why Fort Worth. I guess just because I'd already tested there.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, went back and took the test the next time that it was offered and did good enough to get on. And
nice.
Here I am.
Nice.
So, but that little gap in between, like I said, for me was probably a good thing. So I know it was a good thing.
So you passed the test.
Passed the test.
You get a call or a letter? How's that work?
Yeah, you get a call, and there's emails and things that get sent out, and I'm laughing because my memory's so bad compared to what it is now. Back then, we started rookie school. I think it was June 9th, and we graduated November 19th, so somewhere in November. So it was about a 5-month long academy. I think now it's close to almost 9 months.
Are you going home every night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of training do you go through in rookie school?
They start out, and it's obviously there's physical conditioning.
Sure.
To make sure that you're able to do the job.
Running up a bunch of steps
and levees, and this was back at the old training center that was there just north of downtown before we had our new facility there at Bob Bolin. A lot of running, and long running. I played soccer since I was 4 years old, and I was used to kind of the sprints, this long running. I'm not a runner, as you can see. So a lot of that, and then it's kind of cool because you get different people coming in with different backgrounds. And you're all going through this experience together, and so you've always will have that bond, even though all these other firefighters are around you throughout your career. When it's somebody that goes back to your classmates, you've always got that bond of kind of coming out as a brand new rookie and big-eyed and just going through that experience together. Yeah. You go through a lot of EMS training. Like I said, here in Fort Worth, you've got to be an EMT basic, not to get on the job, but once you get out, that's our minimum. Once you're on the fire truck,
probably have a window of time. You got to get it.
Well, so you get all that going through rookie school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Fort Worth, outside of some other departments, the good thing with us is when you get accepted into that academy after you take the test, you start getting a paycheck, and so you get paid to go through the academy. To come out as a Fort Worth firefighter.
That's excellent.
If you're lucky at the end.
Yeah.
You do lose some folks from time to time. And then just the fire the fire aspect of it all.
Is that where people start washing out?
I mean, for the most part, I would say, especially back then when they took that test, they kind of knew what to expect.
Okay.
And it's not fire department specific. I think the way that the world is, it's just different folks coming into different professions, and it's just a different world we're living in.
Yeah.
And so now people, I don't think they're so hardcore. This is what and like I said, I didn't have a clue. And in fact, the first day I came home from the academy, two things ghost, and I know this isn't on your ghost, and airplanes scare me to death.
Okay.
So my first day coming home from rookie school, I left the phone company. Great job.
Okay.
And they told us at the end of that first day, they said, "Oh, by the way, tomorrow morning you're going to witness an autopsy." I was like, "Oh, that's all right." I came home and I told my wife, I said, "This may be my last day. I don't know how I'm going to do, walking into that ME's office and having to witness that stuff." And of course, I get put in front row, and so
somebody knew.
Oh yeah, well, and I know I wasn't the only one, but I was the only one who knew how I felt about stuff. In front row, and you've got the mask on, so all the splash stuff. So and so I'm sitting there.
And this is like a full on. They're weighing every organ.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And I don't want to get into.
No, I'm getting dizzy thinking about it. Yeah, we can glaze over that.
But yeah, so I was like, man, and kind of seeing that, and it was almost like so surreal, like something off the movies, that it didn't bother me the way that I thought it might. And then so you get out the door and you hit the ground running, and you realize, okay, I can do this. You know? So
that's that. Now at that stage, did you get some people wash out?
No, we did lose some people over the scope of that time period, and I can't remember the various reasons why. I was so focused on me trying to make it to the end and had my sights set that I wasn't paying attention to nobody else. I was trying to do what I was doing. And
you didn't see where they fell out.
Sure. Yeah. I was worried about falling out, so I wasn't worried about who else was falling out and why. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't one of them.
So you get done with rookie training. What comes after that?
Get done with rookie school, and then you graduate from the fire academy. You get a little bump in pay, which is nice. And then you go out to what we call vacation relief. And so, again, depending on where we're at as a fire department with staffing and stuff at that point, for me, I did that for 3 years. And so typically, if you're regular at a station, say Station 12 that's just up the road, you take off. Somebody's got to come fill your spot back to that 4-man staffing.
Okay.
So when you take off, we swing to whatever spot we need to. So they try to keep you. There's 7 battalions in the fire department that are kind of physically, logistically, strategically located throughout the city. And so they try to keep you within your battalion. Each one of those battalions has a battalion chief that kind of oversees that.
So the vacation block is a rotation that just kind of fits through the schedule of the whole department.
Yes, because we've got about 1,000 firefighters. Not all of them are out in operations, but it's probably 250 to 300 a day to man the trucks.
Yeah.
And then so depending on how many people take off for that particular shift is where these rookies get sent to take their spot.
Yeah.
And so I did that for 3 years, and they'll try to move you to different parts of town, usually about every year.
Question on that. Do they stagger it in stages? So like you've got guys that are physically in the stations, running the trucks, doing the things, and then you've got maybe some people that are kind of on like, if we call, you got to come back in status, and then you've got the guys that are out of pocket.
Yeah, so we've always got, if something was to happen, we've always got emergency callback and kind of being in this profession, hey, I'm off today. But there's a very slim chance that I may be getting, and I don't want to jinx anything. I don't know if that's ever gotten to that point to where they've done some all calls. I know, before I got here on the job, like Mayfest, the hailstorm and everything.
Heard about that.
But
how wild.
Yeah, but since I've been on, I don't remember ever. There's been times we've had to monitor our phones and make sure we're watching the news and things like that. But I in my position now, I'll get called back in. For various events or things that are
That's
going
a
on.
really wild story. For our listeners that don't know, there was a Mayfest incident. Was that 20 years ago?
It was before I got on, so it was at least, it was a couple of years, I think, before.
You want to tell them what happened?
Well, I wasn't there, but the main premise of it was, everybody's outside enjoying Mayfest.
Was it like the first or second year that they did that?
I don't even know.
It was early in the game. But yeah. So everybody's out enjoying it, and you got people out in the middle of fields.
Sure. Yeah, just out in the open.
Yeah.
And here comes a storm and starts dropping hail. And I'm not talking about the little hail that you see that's, damaging the roofs. And
baseball,
I'm talking about
softball.
I'm talking about And so people were getting hurt. I mean, they had nowhere to go. They were trying to get cover. And so it was a big deal.
There was either an officer or a firefighter that was I think recognized because there was nowhere for anybody to go, and there were cops and firefighters out there
covering up kids,
shielding the children with their bodies and getting beat to hell.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Sure.
So
so that was one of them kind of one of the time things in your career that I was talking about a while ago is you still hear guys talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember who told me that story, but I can't even imagine being in a situation like that. Or just somebody is, I've got my family out here.
Sure.
We're enjoying the day, and here comes a rogue hailstorm.
And then mass chaos ensues, right? Because everybody, everybody, especially mamas, mamas are with their babies. It's survival mode. So everybody's just trying to get protection for their kids and for their loved ones. And it's kind of a me before you type thing in some instances. Yeah. And so.
Okay. Question number 3.
Yes, sir.
Sticking to the format. Getting away from Mayfest. Covering the details specific to your position, scope of responsibilities. So we've talked a little bit about you as an engineer and where you sit on the truck. What does your job entail as far as the public information officer?
I'm still learning that out, right? So a lot of the things that I thought I would be good at, just from a relationship standpoint, I'm realizing, okay, well that's great, but I'm not necessarily. My wife still laughs at me. She's like, "I can't believe you got that position." We've been married for June 3rd will be 23 years. We were high school sweethearts, and I've got an amazing life. I can't complain about anything, but She's like, I still can't understand you when you talk. How are you going to get out there and talk to these people and share these messages? I'm like, babe, I don't know. I'm here now, so we're going to go with it. But so, I do respond in, obviously on the big events. If there's any kind of news media or any kind of emergency messaging or anything like that it needs to be put out. And I've got a great team. It's just not me in there. I've got a wonderful photographer by the name of Glenn Ellman, and I've got another awesome her name is Kristen O'Hara that kind of handles a lot of the different things within that office, and they've been a blessing for me coming off the truck, kind of really not knowing what I was getting into, to really mentor me and help me line me out on what this position really is versus what kind of I thought it was going into it.
What it looked like on paper?
Sure. Sure. So, it was funny because I was going through a list the other day of kind of just jotting some things down, and I was like, good grief, that's a lot, trying to manage everything. But the big events I'll come into, if there's a fire fatality or if one of our guys get hurt or, different hazmat calls, bomb, anything having to do with that. If there's going to be news cameras there, and I've got 3 backups as well. So I'm fortunate on that to be able to rotate with weekends and stuff like that, so I can still make kids events and things of that nature. Different public events, I try to get out to. I've got a list I can look at. I don't want to just be like I'm reading stuff off.
I was really lucky. Teresa Davis from the Fort Worth Library reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come to this ceremony, and I didn't know anything about it. And when Teresa asked you to jump, you jump, and that's just how it is. So I went, and I was blown away by what was going on out there, and I was also a little floored that there wasn't more of a public presence out there, but we talked about this on the side, and it's such an intimate event that it doesn't really warrant inviting the entire community out, although it's not shut off to the community. Anybody could walk up.
Sure.
But, I'm going to butcher this, so why don't you explain to our friends here what was going on that day?
Yeah, so you were talking about the firefighter memorial event, and so every year, if we lose somebody in the line of duty, whether it be for some type of, they were on a call and a house exploded or house fell down, or even something now that cancer deaths are considered line of duty deaths, and things like that. So every year we have this memorial, and we invite all the families who have lost loved ones throughout the years to come and participate, and kind of just a remembrance of the people that they lost and things like that. So that was kind of, I'm glad you showed up. And I was telling you, it was, I got to meet you in person and kind of helped me decide to be here.
Yeah.
So they put that on. And like I said, we don't do a whole lot of big advertising because it is kind of, people grieve and they go on with life in different ways. And we don't ever want it to be to where it's more of a PR event than it is actually what it's supposed to be about, and it all goes back to those families and just remembering who they were, and they'll put their name engraved on the wall. And so this last year we unfortunately added another one to that wall. It was Engineer David Green, so he had family members and stuff that were out there, and you hope you're not ever adding names to the wall.
Right.
It's just like anything else. Unfortunately, that's part of what we do.
Yeah, and that wall, which is pretty beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
It's cool. They dumped a lot of money into that and really did a good job putting that together. But that's located off of 7th Street, and I don't know that crossroad where the park is, but it's at the kind of a cross section of two major streets there, part of the Trinity.
It's just
Park.
West of the Trinity. Right on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
So.
I was just not expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but whenever I got there and I saw what was going on, I was like, "Oh wow!"
Yeah,
Well,
it's funny, even and I was kind of telling you how I've got a tie just being in that line of work, but you go see these different events like that are put on, and even on things where you don't have the tie. I mean, we went up to the Oklahoma City bombing. They've got one, and just the impact that has on a person that wasn't even there, didn't even know anybody there, and so that's probably what you experienced on your side.
Yeah, there were quite a few aha moments. I don't know if that's the right way to put that, but specifically talking about the health risk to our firefighters that are exposed to carcinogens whenever they're out there doing their work. And that's just not something I ever thought of, and whenever I'm presented with this information, I'm thinking, well, of course, but you just don't think about that.
Yeah, well, and I wasn't thinking about that when I got on the job.
Right.
I mean, you're thinking about, running into a burning house, and you're not thinking about the long-term effects of all these exposures over the years. And it could just be one exposure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
One of the things I'm also involved in is we've got a group here for specific that's called the Cowtown Cancer Coalition, and I sit on the board of that, and we kind of help families out and try to go do research and put awareness out there to our members. And then I'm also a part of a national organization called the Firefighter Cancer Support Network. So I'm very involved in the cancer aspect of things. Just for, like I said, we want to have a long, healthy retirement with our loved ones, and unfortunately, in this line of work, not all of us get to have that. You work all that time trying to do good for everybody, and we kind of, even outside of that, we don't do a good job of taking care of ourselves like we should.
Yeah. Most men, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, and we know better. It's just I ain't got time.
I'm busy.
We're gonna do it tomorrow.
I'll wear a mask next time.
Yeah, and so we're really trying to bring awareness to that aspect because of the cancer reasons and heart issues and all this different stuff. Even when I got on, everything was fried. Fried and gravy, and I was loving life. That's why I look the way I do. I didn't look like this when I first got on. I'll tell you.
We're talking about salads in the 90s.
Yeah, it's all that fire hall eating, and now you've got the paleo or the low carb and all this different stuff. So watching the diets that have progressed in the short time that I've been in the service, from what we were to what we're eating now, and now it's just laughing at the guys like, what are you cooking this week? It's going great. Grass from outside after we mowed.
I gotta tell our listeners, because not everybody watches the video. Craig is not like some fat slob guy. He doesn't look like he just ran a marathon, but he's not in that bad a shape. I just had to defend you, Craig. You've been talking a lot of crap about yourself.
I still think of that time when I was coming on, and man, I had hair. I didn't have a lot of muscles, but I was like, okay, now it's like, okay, yeah, man.
Man, if everybody compares themselves to the way they looked when they're 20s, they'll be depressed every day.
Oh, I know. I just need to face the fact and admit that I'm not a young buck anymore.
Yeah, I know. I hate it. All right. What's next in question number 4. What's next in your career? Do you anticipate moving into a new position?
Well, like I said, I've been excited and to be where I'm at right now. It's not anywhere I thought I would be when I first started out. But like I said, it's given me the opportunity to be at home a lot more with family and kind of see all their events. I've got a daughter who's a senior in school. I've got a son who's a sophomore, and I've got one that's in 8th grade. They're all very active. And so you miss a lot of that stuff over the years, having to come in every third day. And it doesn't matter what shift you're on. If it's A, B, or C, we do a 24 on 48 here. So like going back to that when I was saying a third of our lives is spent here at the fire hall.
Very easy to track with that kind of schedule.
Yeah, but you talk to every wife, and it doesn't matter what shift her husband is, or the same with the husbands of wives who are firefighters. It's always going to happen when you're on duty, the school events, and so it's just part of it, But
now, do y'all keep that same 1 day on, 2 days off all the way through the year? Like you could track, if you did the math, you could track it 2 years from now?
Yeah. Wow. They've actually got apps and stuff that you can go up and
kidding.
Look. But,
so you don't have to do the counting.
So like you can just look.
Yeah. Very simple graphic he's showing me here. Just Monday's black, Tuesday's red, Wednesday's green. So he knows exactly. You could go to anywhere on your calendar and see what color that day is.
Okay, Christmas in 2027. Sorry, babe, I'm going to be working that day. You know? So, and the good thing is too with the fire services, like I said, a lot of the older folks that have kids that have been raised, they'll work those shifts for you. You can swap out. And they'll cover those shifts for you, so you can be at home for Santa and the little ones. Yeah. So when we go back to family, the people that have been through that and know how big of a deal that is, to be able to give that back to these younger folks that are starting out in their lives, it's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool.
So y'all can move stuff around with the approval of your
correct. Yeah, all that's got to be approved and everything like that. But usually, as long as it's not abused, the chiefs, they kind of run how they want to, and
So PIO for the foreseeable future.
Man, I enjoy it. It's given me the opportunity, like I said, to be at home, and like I said, it's pretty cool. It's funny. All these years, I've the 20 years that I've been on was outside of the 3 years that I was a vacation relief. I've only been at 2 firehouses. Yeah. One was on the east side of town, Station 22, off of Wilbarger Street.
How long were you there?
I was there for 12 years. And then Station 12 up here in the stockyards. And I was there probably only 3 or 4. Like I said, my time kind of gets away from me. It's like I feel like I just graduated rookie school. So when you go back and look, you're like, okay, it's been a little bit. But the cool thing is they've both been busy houses.
I would imagine the stockyards has got to be.
Yeah, and I've worked with a lot of great people. Some not so great. You learn from both, But yeah, so this is where I'm at. There's a part of me that's like, man, I can see myself doing this to kind of finish out my career. And there's the other part of me that I got on this job to be a firefighter, and man, I wanted to be back on that truck yesterday.
Yeah,
it's tough. You miss the crews.
Oh yeah,
obviously the calls and all that kind of stuff. But just the drinking the coffee around the table, where everybody's cooking and talking smack to each other, and that part I don't get as much right now, just because I'm in an office setting.
You don't get that adrenaline rush.
And that's tough, man.
Sitting around the break room, and then here's the call.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I had a really good joke that I wanted to start this episode off with that kind of would feed into a whole conversation about first responders. But we had kind of set up, and I'm not talking crap here, but we had kind of set this up. We were going to have a PIO from the Fort Worth Police Department.
Correct.
And he was going to be here, but he didn't make it. And I thought, well, this would be a good way to, so we got the fire department here because they always show up, right? They're the first ones to respond usually. They usually
It depends on who you talk to.
They usually beat the ambulance. They usually beat the cops, and that's why Craig's here with us today. He beat Fort Worth Police Department here today.
Tell PD, they can say whatever they want, but we're here right now, and they ain't. But no, and that's a good, that banner back and forth.
Yeah.
It's all good. People ask all the time, is it like it is on TV? It's like, yeah, unfortunately, maybe, but yeah. It's,
the back and forth.
Yeah, the back. And it's great. It's what makes us tick, right? Yeah. It's kind of a therapeutic thing for us to be able to go back and laugh after some of the situations and things we're in, just to kind of be able to have somebody. It's like a little brother or sister you can go back and mess with, and mom and dad ain't looking, and kind of do what you want. So it's all good.
Awesome. Yeah, I really meant to open the episode that way. So while you were talking about the stockyards, I'm like, I bet they have to make a lot of calls for just whatever.
It's funny because with all the with all the people, the tourists and stuff that come in, obviously the stockyards is kind of a hot place, and they want to come down there and see all the sights. And,
walking around, get dehydrated, pass out.
Yeah, all the drinking,
hit their head on a curb.
Yeah, so that's you're busy in different parts of the city for different reasons.
Right.
But yeah, I've been blessed to have a career where I've been in some really great places. So.
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. What are some things your department does for the community that may not be very well known to the public?
Yeah, and that's kind of, we do smoke detector drives. There's a lot of things that we do that the story really never gets told. And that really kind of comes back to each individual firehouse as far as, somebody's house burned down right before Christmas, and then these crews will go and they'll put money together and they'll make that Christmas for that family with food, gifts for the kids and all that kind of stuff. And it's more of that individual firehouse, just good people getting together to do the right thing and do good things. And so those stories never really transpired for anybody to hear. And that's how we are. We don't do a good job at, we come to work and do what we do and go home. And we don't like the limelight. And me in this position, I'm not this guy, right? So it's like, man, everybody's going to be giving me a hard time, and I don't like being in front of the camera, but I one of the things that really pushed me to come into this position was the fact that there's people are doing good things every day. And don't tell PD I said this, but the police is the same way, and so is any kind of EMS service. I mean, we got in this position with a servant's heart, and that's what we want to go in, do day in and day out, regardless if we're getting paid for it or not. I mean, typically, you go talk to any family member that has somebody as a first responder in that family, and they're the go-to person regardless if they're on duty or off. And we enjoy being that person. But some of the best stories, you never hear about because they just kind of keep it within that little family. Each individual family at a station is, you've got the shift family. And so there's secrets and stuff that nobody will ever hear. And then you've got the station, and, we've got the shift change in the morning, and everybody's talking about their kids and their wives and husbands and what they did yesterday. And so that's really cool. But then half of them go home because they're coming off shift. And we call that your relief. If I'm coming in for my shift today, I'm relieving you for duty. You get home, take care of the family. I've got you here on the truck. So, but there's the little changeover in the mornings to where, we had a fire over here, and if y'all go back around that anytime in the future, watch out for that B side, watch out for that side of the house because it's not structurally sound.
Right.
So just a little that stuff gets passed along. But those stories, there's people, and that's why, like I said, I wanted to come into this because those stories don't get told. And now that I'm here, I'm not getting told them stories because I'm outside of that little family, right? So I'm like, man, I had all this good stuff, and now
we want to have you back, but maybe we ought to also talk to some individual departments.
Yeah, no,
some firehouses.
We try to set that up.
Firehouses. I called them departments. Firehouses.
Well, fire departments, fire stations, fire halls. Fire hall is one of the terms we use. Because back in the day, it was, and it's still a public building, but they'd come in and they'd have different functions there at their local fire hall. So,
well, back to storytelling and how the good stuff doesn't really make it. I remember, I think this was probably in the military and when I was working for the state. But one of the things that would be a reoccurring, either shift change or just a regular briefing, you would talk about how, be careful because the good stories, 99% of your life can be doing all the right things. No one's ever going to cover that. The moment you mess up,
that's exactly
that's going to hit the front page.
That is exactly right. And that's what I was going to say, talking to those fire stations, you got to be careful. Some of the folks, it's good stuff, man. It's like,
might tell you the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of truth. There's a lot of stuff that's not truth, but when you sit down and talk, there's a lot of truth. And like I said, that truth sometimes will get you in trouble. Just from the little shenanigans and stuff that go on.
Right, yeah. Nothing crazy, just, some things you don't say on record, right? All right. I had this marked as optional. Let me read this from.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You came here today to be on a podcast. What did you think we would talk about, and what else would your friends at the department want us to talk about?
Yeah, so like I said, I was excited to do it, but I was a little bit nervous coming into this thing, man. Like I said, again, thanks for having me out, and I was glad.
Absolutely.
I'm real big on. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But yeah, it's one of them. you want to do it to say you did, but you also want to do it because you know there's going to be more, and it can lead you to different paths in your life. And I feel like this, especially for me in my position, this isn't going to be the first time to do one of these with you. And if you will allow me to be back at some point in time,
absolutely.
But also for other entities as well. And so I was kind of nervous because, like I said, man, sometimes I'll get to talking and
I've been screening you in the back of my head. I've been screening you for this whole episode, and we've done a really good job of keeping it on the straight and narrow.
Yes, because I can get off that path real quick. But anyway, yeah. So I didn't know what you were going to ask, and we talked beforehand a little bit. I was kind of wanting some direction and kind of wanting you to kind of tell me which route we were going to go. So I'm glad it was kind of. For me,
this is the most structured the show has ever been. We don't usually do it like this, but I wanted to make sure you felt comfortable.
Yeah, no.
And when we sit down with the police department, we'll do the same thing. Probably the same set of questions.
Sure. Yeah, but no, and I appreciate you.
But to open it up for future conversation, like this was just to introduce the community, our Fort Worth listeners, to the fire department and to Craig. So we can absolutely, anytime you or one of your partners at the department want to come in and do an episode, or I can come to you, which would be really fun to do at one of the firehouses.
Yeah.
But also, if you guys have like a quick PSA, you got something that comes up in a morning meeting or something, you're like, you know what, let me just pick up the phone, call me.
Sure.
You can either leave a voicemail or we can talk for a minute. I'll record it and I'll put it in that week's episode.
Okay, cool.
So we don't have to commit to a sit-down time and a full episode. We can always just... I'd be honored to help relay messages to the Fort Worth
that'd be
public.
awesome. We're always looking for different ways to get messaging out and communications to people, and there's lots of different ways, and you've got to be able to hit them all, because what works for some generations and the newspapers and the telephone books, it's the younger people ain't doing that.
Whoever's managing your social media is doing a great job, by the way. I see stuff not just with the fire department, but with the PD. And you guys are just always on top of it. Yeah. Incredible photography as well.
I've got a great team. Yeah, Glenn, like I said.
Is this all Glenn?
That's all Glenn.
Now, if you're not watching the video, you can't see this, but the Instagram, I believe, is just Fort Worth FD or Fort Worth Fire Department. It's easy to find. Amazing photography.
Yeah, he does an awesome job. He sleeps with a special speaker underneath his pillow so it doesn't wake his wife up at night, and he listens to the radio traffic.
That's wild.
24/7. And he's been doing that since he's been chasing fire trucks. He told me since he was about 9 years old.
Now, is he with the department?
On a bike, yes sir.
Okay,
yes sir. So he does all the shots and things that you see on our social media pages, or most of them. I mean, we've got some other people that send some stuff in and stuff as well, but he is kind of the professional to go to when it comes to that aspect. And like I said, Kristen O'Hare does a good job about.
That's not you there, is it? That's your twin if it's not.
On the bottom middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Is that you?
That is me.
Okay.
So yeah, that was right after this TCU event we held for the parade to see them off. Yeah, they've got all the idea. Like I said, I'm just fortunate enough to be in a spot to where all the good people that I've got on the team do the hard work, and I kind of get to
frame that one. That's a real tough look. You look like a mean hombre.
Well, we were sitting there buffling underneath our breath, trying to say we smiling for this one.
I'm not smiling. You smiling?
We're too tough. We're supposed to be tough. So he was laughing because even the back and forth, he was talking about the SWAT truck and all that stuff, and our quint. That quint's particular to TCU, so it's got a purple stripe versus a blue. You can't see it in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine. There's going to be some of your brothers and sisters from the department listening to this. You got any messages for them?
I know y'all are going to send it to me. I get pictures and texts and all kinds of stuff every time that I'm on the news or anything like that. And yeah, go ahead, make fun. I'm just what you got? What you got? I can't get you back today, but I'll get you back.
All right. Yeah. He gave you permission, so now you got no. They've all got your cell phone number.
It doesn't matter if I give them permission or not; they're going to do it. So if I go into it like that, it kind of takes some of the heat off.
Yeah,
but yeah, they all got my cell.
Any PSAs to our local Fort Worth residents?
Man, right now I think we're kind of coming into storm season, or we're kind of in it now, right? Yeah. Just always have a plan with your family, regardless of what season it is. If it's wildfire season or flood season or whatever. And that was kind of one of the things that was unique last year, not too long after I came in, is we literally went from drought into this record-breaking wildfire thing that we had here in Fort Worth. And like literally on our call sheet, I think it was a grass fire, and then it went straight into high water rescue. So just here in Texas, everybody who's been here long enough knows what the drill is. So just be aware of that Mother Nature, and have a plan. Always have a plan with your family. Yeah. There's different things. If y'all want to reach out, that we can get more in the weeds on some specific trainings and things like that.
Well, and I thought we would probably bring you guys in, or at least have a phone conversation around 4th of July and approaching the holidays.
Sure.
Because, of course, those are, as far as fire awareness is concerned, those are community dates that seem to spark some incidents.
Yeah,
pun intended. All right, brother. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Where can people find information on the Fort Worth Fire Department?
Well, so you can go to Fort Worth Fire. See, I've got so many different things.
We've got it. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
So we'll have the website on the show notes that you guys can check out. If you want to go to Instagram and see some of this incredible photography by Glenn, what was his last name?
Glenn Elman.
Glenn Elman. I'm not kidding. Y'all need to see this. They're really badass. You can just go to Instagram and type in Fort Worth Fire Department. It'll pop right up.
Check him out. Like the page. We always kind of watch that kind of stuff going on, and it was funny the other night. Some of the stuff we're trying to get to 1,000, so we're texting the kids. Hey, go like this, go like this. But, no, it's good stuff, and I'm hope that it brings an educational component to it, to hopefully help out families moving forward. Yeah.
Well, if y'all can put this the link for this show in one of your platforms, we'd be honored. But I see a lot of advantage for maybe recruiting in this, because we talked a lot about that.
Yes.
But however you can plug us in, we're happy to help.
Okay, cool,
and
man.
you said it like 3 times. We're going to get you back on the show, right?
Man, like I said, this is cool. This is more. This beats being behind a computer checking emails any day of the week.
And we can come to you. This is all mobile. That breaks down. This comes in a box. So,
cool. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Craig, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fort Worth Roots, thank y'all for listening, and we will see you next week.
All right, be safe.
Craig, man, thank you so much for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Y'all didn't see the video if you haven't checked out the Fort Worth Roots social media pages, but Craig brought a bunch of goodies for us. He had a bag of stuff to include a Fort Worth Fire Department journal, this really clean-looking journal with a pen holder. It came with a Fort Worth Fire Department pin. I got a little Fort Worth Fire Department keychain, like badge-looking thing. Makes me super official, I think. Anyway, just all sorts of cool stuff. So, Craig, thank you. Fort Worth Fire Department, thank you so much. And I mean it when I say we're here to help in any way we can. If you guys need to put out a public service announcement, or if you can think of any way that we can help here at the Fort Worth Roots podcast, we're here for it. So let me know. Our email, of course, is media@fortworthroots.com. And to the Fort Worth Police Department, we're going to be sending you some emails. Hey, we got these other first responders here. Don't let them beat you. Don't let them do it. I'm going to talk to you guys too. And it would probably go a lot like this. We want to be as involved with Fort Worth as we possibly can. And this was a big step for us because it gave us a chance to showcase to the other departments, the other legs of our community, what that looks like. Whenever you get somebody in here that, they got to be careful what they say because they represent a very important part of our city. So, not like every other episode we've done here. A little bit more buttoned up, but still fun, still informative, I thought. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. But we want to get as connected as we can to our city. That's what Fort Worth Roots podcast is all about here. So hit us up, media@fortworthroots.com. Craig, thank you again, man. I hope everybody is having fun with that. And to all of our Fort Worth Fire Department people, I don't care which firehouse you're at, we appreciate you and thank you so much for what you do. Looking forward to getting to know a few of you a little better and maybe sitting down and talking to you and seeing what all goes into that job. It's a lot, and we just covered a very brief portion of it today. And I hope y'all enjoyed hearing from your buddy Craig. So, All right. As far as events, we do have some stuff in the works, and as soon as I know, you'll know. But I'm ironing out dates and names and places and all that good stuff. So straight into the sponsors. Did I do that at the beginning of the episode? Yeah. Who did we talk about? We talked about Pouring Glory. The place is awesome. My buddy up there, Scott, he's the owner, and he's just waiting for you to pop in. If you haven't been there yet, you are missing out. And if you've been there recently, you are probably already planning your next trip. It's a very chill vibe. Lots of good people there. Every Sunday, they've got the dog park thing from 11 to 4. They shut the gate, and the entire patio is off-the-leash fun for the doggos. A great way to get your fur babies out to socialize with other pets and just enjoy the sunshine and good weather on a Sunday. So come check that out. And while you're there entertaining your fur baby, they've got award-winning burgers and a lot of other great food. It's not just that. They've got phenomenal tacos and other great eats. And the menu's always changing up. So you can check them out on the Instagrams or the Facebook, Pouring Glory on both, and see what their current lineup is. They're pretty good about keeping that up to date. So good stuff. All right. Who else? My homies over there at McFly's. This place has just nonstop been doing activities every weekend, every week. They've got something else going on. They've got a singer-songwriter thing with Tommy Luke that they do up there. And just a couple weekends ago, we had crawfish broil, and the lady that played Marty McFly's girlfriend from Back to the Future was up there signing autographs and hanging out, and she's just a super nice lady. Her name's Claudia Wells, and hopefully she'll be back soon. We're kind of hoping we can do a little Fort Worth Roots podcast episode with her. I know she's not from Fort Worth, but still be cool, I think. Yeah. Woodpostmetalworks.com. Go there for... Now let me start over. Woodpostmetalworks.com. They specialize in metal signs with or without LED backlighting, fencing, gate repair, or installation, light steel fabrication, industrial plasma cutting, and, you guessed it, more. You can use offer code podcast817 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off. Some really good stuff in there. If what I just read off to you doesn't make sense, just know that there are great custom gift ideas, like big, heavy, very awesome stuff. They don't have to be heavy, but if you want something serious, they can do that. They've been putting up a lot of signs for businesses around the Fort Worth area. That's something else that they do a lot, but they also have a lot of cool stuff. Home decor, custom grills. I used to talk a lot about that. I guess I haven't said anything in a while, but they have these collapsible mobile fire pits with the little rack on top for like cooking food. And you just pull the pins, it lays out flat. You can store it in your vehicle, your Jeep, your truck, whatever, your minivan. And when you get where you're going, you can pull it out and slap it all together, put the pins back in, and bam, you got a badass custom fire pit that you can even cook on if you want. And if you don't like the way it looks online, guess what? Tell them what you'd like on it instead, and they can make that for you. Easy peasy. All right, Halk Walker Originals. You can go to halkwalker.com. They offer a huge variety of unique and personalized gifts. Also laser engraving to customize just about anything you can think of. They did the tumblers, the big old mugs that we got at our last event, flawlessly put our logo on these cups and made it 100% all about Fort Worth Roots. It was really cool, and it took her almost no time to do it. Very excellent stuff. So go check that out. That's really good for if you're wanting swag for your business, you want some custom stuff for a party you got coming up, an anniversary, a 40th birthday party, whatever. They got you covered. Halk Walker Originals, that's halkwalker.com. Roofing Solutions by Darren Halk, roofingsolutionshalk.com. You can get them at 817-882-6520. And just by mentioning that you heard about Roofing Solutions by Darren Halk on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, you get what is it? Oh, is it 10? No, 20? No, that's not right. 30, 40? You get 50% off on a roofing tune-up. This is something that you need to have done to your roof periodically to make sure that the sealants around your pipe jacks and vent hoods and things like that hasn't deteriorated and is now a point of entry for moisture in your roof. So get them on your roof. Let them check that out. Like I said, 50% off just by being a Fort Worth Roots podcast listener, and this is also a great time for them to get up there and just survey to make sure there's nothing major, like severe hail damage or whatever your imagination can come up with. But they'll take a look. And Darren is not just a roofer that sponsors the show. Him and his family have been trusted by the River Oaks and Greater Fort Worth area for a very, very long time. His father was a roofer with a great reputation, and Darren is a roofer with a very great reputation. They have a brick and mortar location here in River Oaks, Texas, and they've got nothing but great reviews. So don't take a podcaster's word for it. Go check that out yourself. The name is Roofing Solutions by Darren Hauk. You can look them up on all the things that give you ratings, and you'll see that I'm not fibbing to you. They're very well trusted by our community. Check them out yourself at roofingsolutionshauk.com. And again, that phone number is 817-882-6520. All right, who are we forgetting? Body Machine Fitness. I've been going there. I've been trying to make it twice a week. Now, I do have another gym that I go to. But what I find is that whenever I go to the gym by myself, the motivation's not quite there, and there's a lot of confusion. It starts with, what am I doing today? Did I do that yesterday? Is that machine going to be free anytime in the next 10 minutes? Well, there's somebody over there. I don't want to get in their way, so maybe I just won't do that today. It's a whole thing. It's a very emotional issue, going to these big box gyms. But whenever I go to Body Machine Fitness, all the thinking, all the hassle, it's been taken care for. I have an assigned spot inside this group class led by just incredible trainers. These people call themselves intertrainers, right, or something like that. They're not just training you; they're on top of it. They're trying to motivate you to push through those morning blues or the work week bad vibes or whatever it is. Whenever you leave there, you're going to feel great. They've got an incredible group sauna in the middle of the facility. They also have saunas, infrared saunas, inside the male and female bathrooms individually. So you can warm up and kind of stretch out before the class if you want to. And it's kind of a community vibe. Like everybody there is just real friendly, easy to talk to, and all of them are there to support you in your little physical journey, whatever that might be. But at any rate, if you look this place up, you're going to see some people that are just at the top of their game. And then there's me. But it's okay. It's all right. There's people of every age, every demographic, every body type going to this gym. And I do not look like one of these badass people on the front of their front page of their website. But I think that if I keep it up, I might get there. The workouts are solid, and I have not yet seen the same class twice yet. So that's pretty cool. I think there's a lot to it. I know for a fact that every time I leave there, I'm in a way better mood. And there's even more to that. And we discussed this in an interview that we did with the owner on the podcast not too long ago, where he goes into the science behind what they're doing in there. But it's not just a fitness club. It looks more like a rave or a dance club. They've got these LED lights that are hanging down from the ceilings that are what's the word? They move with the program that you're following whenever you're in there doing a workout. And I'm doing a bad job of describing this, but if you will go to the Fort Worth Roots catalog on whatever you listen to podcasts on, you can look up the episode that I did with Jeremy. And if you'll give me just a second, my internet's super slow right now, and I'm trying to pull it up for you. I want to say it's 86. It is episode... Come on, phone. There we go. It's actually episode 77. It's titled A New Addiction. And Jeremy goes into great detail talking about what all goes into this thing. But I'm telling you, it's not just a workout place. It's something very new age and fun. I was trying to see if I could find a cool little excerpt here out of my thing. They did win 2021 Dallas Morning News People's Choice Awards, which is cool. Best Fitness Center and Best Workout Center. So they won twice. That's pretty cool. We talk about the science and research involved with BMF and how this crew of hard chargers constantly outperform themselves. There's some science that goes into the type of music that they use in conjunction with the light system that they use. They're trying to hijack certain parts of your psychology to make sure that you don't just get a really powerful workout, but that whenever you leave there, you're feeling on top of the world. And for me, it works really good. Your first class is paid for. You can go to bodymachinefitness.com and give them a look, and you can register for that class that's already been paid for, and take a look at their schedule, select the one that works best for you. Sometimes these schedules do move around a little bit, but I mean, I've gone in at, I want to say I went in at 6 a.m. one morning, and I've been in as late as 6 p.m. for these classes. So, and they do move around a little bit. Don't get me lying to you, but check out their schedule. And then if you want, you can come hang out with me. Let me know. media@fortworthroots.com, or leave me a message telling me you want to schedule one of those classes alongside me. I'll go with you. 817-988-1292. That's also the Fort Worth Roots voicemail line. So anyway, all sorts of good stuff. Okay, that is all of our sponsors. I will get some more details for some events that are coming up. And next week's episode is going to be chopped up. I don't know how many. I'm going to try to break it up into 1 hour increments so that they're not crazy long. I'm not even sure how many recordings we got from this, but it's going to be the coverage of the Psychedelic Panther. We had lots of really awesome people. Some of them were fellow podcasters. We had some musicians sit down with us, some of the artistic vendors that were at the Psychedelic Panther, and we did a lot of recording. So anyway, I need to crack into that and see what we got going, but you're probably going to get 2, 3, 4, something like that episodes next week. It's the only way I can think to do it. I did it last year. I think it was just one big long episode, and it was just too long. So anyway, you're not going to have to wait for the whole thing, but you will have the option to pick and choose which parts of the Psychedelic Panther you want to listen to. So, and then shout out to Tim over at the Funky Panther. The Funky Panther podcast is another incredible Fort Worth podcast doing great things. And you can find them on all streaming services. Again, that's the Funky Panther. Mr. Tim sat down with me. He's one of the hosts of the Funky Panther. It's a 3-part team. And we did a little recording today on this Sunday. And then just after that, I ran across town and thought I was running late. Turns out I was over an hour early to the thanks for the invite. Yeah, TFTI podcast. Thanks for the invite. Also on all streaming services. It's not out yet. I don't know when they release, but anyway, got to have a really good conversation with them. So another busy weekend in the books, but a fun one. And hope you had a great weekend too. That is enough talking out of me. Holy shit. 15 minutes. Okay. All right. I love you. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you. When do we do this? Next Monday.